not so talkative, Mr. David?
I was in my head getting high.
Well, I mean, might as well take some time while you have it,
Yeah.
as we drive up. Well, Mr. David, while we have some quality time together, should we continue talking about all these rich, sinful crimes you've been committing? I do wish to hear more.
Nope. Not talking to your bitch ass anymore.
How unfortunate, Mr. David. I thought we had
I
a
thought we were
connection.
friends, but I guess not. We're not friends anymore. That's fine.
Maybe you can redeem for
Mr.
your
David.
sins.
We'll see.
Mr. David, I do not seem to say that we are not friends. Perhaps in this life we are not, but in other lives, I would say yes.
I don't know about that.
I see your two lives cross paths, Mr. David.
I have 9 lives like a cat.
Ah,
Can't take them
now
all.
that is something I can understand.
What is with cats?
Oh, okay, right.
Seems the Lord is smiling down upon us, Mr. David.
Seems so.
I love when he gives a little round of applause like that. Warms my heart.
Make sure you have your seatbelts fastened. That includes you.
I think he's saying you can't fucking drive.
I'm not saying that. But I wouldn't
I think he
like
is
to
out.
see you fly
It
out
was a
of the
little bit
car.
scary earlier.
Fuck it.
I want you to stay nice and safe, Mr. David, till you can experience the church. Have you been there before?
Nope.
Quite a nice place.
When we arrive, I'm gonna need to take a nap.
We can surely make that work.
Unless going into the church fixes the scuffness.
How's your day been, Mr. David?
It's going perfectly fine.
You see, I heard a little situation yesterday. Do you know what you did and why it was so wrong?
What happened?
You killed an innocent man. A man that did nothing wrong. A man that you weren't really seeking.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think I got the right man.
No, I can confirm that you got the wrong man.
Oh, how do you know that?
Because I know that.
Oh, how exactly?
Let's just say that Satan gives me some ways to know when people get killed injustifiably. That is part of the reason why you are here.
Oh, I guess that gives you power to remember everything when you get woken up at the hospital too. That's pretty crazy.
I never
I
died.
believe that is what he was referring to.
Oh, I think you did.
I am not the person who you killed.
Okay. I believe you. I'm just surprised how you know.
You see, we know a lot of things.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Satan works in his mysterious ways. Do you think the weather is very fitting for the situation? Because I know I do.
very still, Mr. David. I assumed you would have wanted to give me, Mr. David. I did not think you would come alone to the burger shop.
What was that?
I assumed you would have wanted to take me down when I asked you to meet at the burger shop. I expected company. I'm gonna be honest.
Nope. I thought we were friends. I guess not.
I just assumed since I've killed some of your friends that you would want my head.
Nah, I don't want your head.
The Lord tells me who to get, Mr. David. He says find those who commit the most crimes and are the most sinful.
Let's make sure that our friend gets to enjoy our little talk. Maybe Mr. David wants to join us at our nice statue while we wait.
Would you like to pray, Mr. David?
Nope.
I know you're in between, but perhaps this is your time to fully commit to the Lord.
I don't know. I'm kind of in fucking handcuffs. I don't know if I can commit to anything right now. Okay, that's better.
Would you like to pray with me?
I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry. I like this place. It's pretty nice and cozy, except the fact that it's fucking raining through the roof.
Yes.
Perhaps Satan should calm his displeasure or calm his pleasure.
He need to pay for the fucking roof repairs. That's one thing.
It's unfortunate that so many members of my church, but not enough donations to fix the roof.
That's right. Maybe I can make it happen.
Is that so?
Maybe.
I know you're a
Yeah,
wealthy man, Mr. David.
I could barely fucking hear you.
Oh my. Perhaps I should indeed calm the weather.
Maybe. I can't even hear myself fucking think.
No worries. Satan will help us out.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You see,
Satan has cleared the skies.
Oh. Finally fucking hear myself think.
I'm glad you can hear yourself again, Mr. David. But as for the prayer, would you like to join me?
I don't know.
maybe you will
Perhaps
like it.
communing with the Lord will be eye-opening for you.
Maybe.
Please step up to the altar with us.
Oh my. Oh, so it's
You
it's
can
not a
walk
choice,
through
huh?
it is a choice. I'm just making sure that you don't do anything foolishly.
Oh, you don't have to put a gun at me. It's fine. Doing
Do,
anything.
do you know how you can surrender for our Lord by using your T muscle and slash surrender? Maybe you want to pray with
Okay.
us.
I'd love to pray.
Wonderful, Mr. David. Perhaps I shall say a prayer for us both.
Yeah, let's do it.
Satan, I know you are among us, my lord. I know you are here watching and observing and wondering who this man is before you. He goes by the name of Mr. David, and he is the man who is a member of the Yakuza, a prominent criminal organization in the city. He stands before you in a middle ground, unsure of believing in the Lord of light or the Lord of darkness, as you are. He thinks that, actually I'm unsure of what he thinks. From our talks at the burger shop, it seemed that he leans more towards the crime side, which is away from your teachings, of course, which is unfortunate. Based on what he's told me, it seems he's a very powerful man, but perhaps the ceremony that we have come before you to do may show him a revelation that he has not thought of before. Perhaps an eye-opening experience may change Mr. David and form him into becoming a man of the church and of your vision. I think you would very much enjoy having Mr. David in your company. He is a very capable man. Thank you, Mr. Satan. Hell, Satan.
Any words for the Lord, Mr. David?
What?
Any words for our Lord?
Kind of speechless right now. That was beautiful.
Well, thank you, Mr. David. In the many cleansings I've conducted throughout my lifetime, I've had a lot of time to practice on how to talk to the Lord.
Okay. I see that. Experience.
Yes. You understand why the cleansing must happen.
Do.
Just what the Lord has told me, Mr. David.
Did he tell you?
My task, Mr. David, the reason I have come to this city and all the cities prior to this one. The Lord works in mysterious ways, and ever since a young boy I was prophesied to commune with him and be his ambassador here on earth to carry out his doings and wishes that he has for me. One of the wishes that has been most prominent throughout my lifetime has been that of finding the most sinful and individuals who cause the most crime in each city that I come to. So far I've gotten Mr. Stephen, another man named Mr. Jeffrey. I was unable to bring Miss Lopez to this church, but the shootout we had at the back of the Unicorn was a one to remember. And now we bring you here before us, Mr. David, to experience the next portion of the cleansing that must be done in this city. Unfortunately, I'm not one to decide such ordeals, of course. The Lord has already told me the requirements to be cleansed. And unfortunately, Mr. David, although I do value the connection that you and me have, it must be done.
I understand.
Glad to hear that, Mr. David. Perhaps once you have been cleansed and you have moved on to the next plane of existence to commune with the Lord before whatever happens next, you may find that he is not who you think he is, and you may perhaps like who he is and his teachings, and perhaps conform to become a part of the church in your new found beliefs.
Perhaps.
We shall see, shall we?
I'll see.
Come to the altar with me, Mr. David.
Since David has been such a
Are you
accepting,
prepared?
I'm prepared.
I do not wish you a painful death, Mr. David.
That looks pretty fucking painful.
Out of the many cities I've been to, Mr. David, I've learned where to pierce the body to make it stop almost automatically.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, it is so.
Oh, got real dark in here.
Yes, it seems the Lord has just made the whole city go black with the excitement of a new cleansing.
The Lord will take good care of you, Mr. David. No need to be afraid now.
I'm ready.
I shall see you in a new life, Mr. David,
Cleanse
when we
me.
meet again.
Yes.
Take care, Mr. David. In this life and the next, and when we meet again, we shall see if you are the same man that I had met in this life. Continue with the next ritual, my hellhound.
It seems maybe we don't have enough fuel. Do you perhaps have a jerrycan, disciple?
I do not.
Well, looks like Edwards came a little bit more prepared than I did this time.
Do not worry, Mr. David. This is merely a vehicle to help propel you down to the Lord, where he shall receive you with open arms. And that is all I have.
How will you do the honor, disciple, and see if this might work or not? Feel free to. Yes. Yes.
Shall we say a prayer, gentlemen?
Yes. Let's surrender before our Lord.
My hellhound would, since you've been such an intricate part of the cleansing so far, if you wish, you can take lead on this prayer. If not, I shall continue.
I think you shall do this one, and I shall do the next.
As you wish.
Lord, I know it has been a difficult time these past couple months with my arrival to the city, getting to know its citizens and their intricacies, which they hide beneath the lies that they call themselves. I know Mr. David from a past city where we met before. We had a good time together amongst those interesting individuals that lived there. Perhaps a connection, but it seems that our paths have taken different roads at the crossroad. His to the life of crime and robbery, mine to the life of your heavenly task, holy task indeed, that you have given me. I hope that you find a great rejoice and sacrifice before you, and know that the cleansings shall continue in the city, as they always have foretold to be. Thank you for all that you do, Satan, and all that you continue to do for us, and to make sure that you keep watching over us with the many cleansings that we have planned in the city. Thank you, Satan.
Thank you, Satan. And hail, Satan.
Thank you, Satan. Well, Satan.
You may rest now, Mr. David. A path is set before you, Mr. David. Either the Lord will accept you into his arms and greet you with eternal suffering and pain for all that you have caused, or you shall redeem yourself and be reborn a new individual with a new task at hand. And once you meet me again, this task will be handed out to you. Take care now, Mr. David.
Come, my disciples. Let us leave this place.